Good morning. We're going to try another daily devotion here. This is take 3. It's just been fraught with difficulty. You can tell I'm back in my office at work. This is great. I've been trying to get these out daily. It hasn't been happening. The transition back has been terrible technologically and just full of other things that have eaten up all of my time. So we have just several weeks, and then the internet here. I know you're probably tired of me saying this, but these take about 20 to 30 minutes to upload at my house, and they take 2 to 3 hours here only to get to 90% and then have the upload fail, and you have to start all over again. So this is soul crushing. So I'm going to try to be a little quicker and maybe pray that it goes off without a hitch. Like I said, take 3 because I'm back in the office and I just can't win. So we're in Isaiah 49:13-16. Shout for joy, O heavens, rejoice, O earth, burst into song, O mountains, for the Lord comforts his people and will have compassion on his afflicted ones. But Zion has said, the Lord has forsaken me, the Lord has forgotten me. Can a mother forget the baby at her breast and have no compassion on the child she has borne? Though she may forget, I will not forget you. See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me. Okay, so there's several times where God the Father, actually the whole Old Testament, where God the Father represents himself as a father and represents our relationship as a father-child relationship. And you all probably know enough that God is spirit, not creation, or technically speaking, he's essence with no substance. So he doesn't have male parts, which is fine. But every once in a while, God, the Father, represents himself as a mother. Once in Jeremiah and twice in Isaiah. So the Isaiah one is this mother hen-ish thing, and then this where he compares himself to a mother hen, and then this reference here. It's a very light passing one, but we'll take what we can get. So all of creation is rejoicing as we just walk through the text, right? All of creation is rejoicing except Judah. And Judah is not rejoicing because Judah has had the Babylonian captivity. Judah is about to be overrun. Depending on how and when this is directed, right? Isaiah is before the fall of Jerusalem. But depending on how and when this is directed, Isaiah might be directing this for Jerusalem has been sacked already. So that's super, super depressing. So those are what's going on, and Judah is not comforted. Judah is not happy, and Judah is saying, God's forgotten us. God's not listening to us. Oh, Jerusalem also gets sieged while Israel's getting sacked. The Assyrians wander down and siege Jerusalem, and you can read about that in First and Second Chronicles. And it's a pretty wild story. And read about Sennacherib and what happens to him. So here's our little text. And so he says, does the mother comparison, because dads comfort and look at you and say, yeah, you're not bleeding, rub some dirt on it and you'll be fine. Right? And that's not really comforting. And even when you really get hurt and dad's around, you're thinking, where's mom? Right? I know. I've got little kids and kind of look at you askance when you pick them up and try to comfort them. And they're like, it's not the same. It's not okay. You're not nearly as comforting as mom. So God the Father says, I can't forget you. And here it is. And I don't think it has the same effect, mostly because of the fallen world. But there we go. And so he says, I can't forget you. See, I've engraved you in the palms of my hands. And every 19th and 20th century preacher has gone straight to the crucifixion. Except here, the Hebrew word for hand is anything from about fingertip off to about here. And the word arm is anything from about here off to about here. So the palm of your hand, they're being really, really specific. But with the crucifixion, we know that it was wrist bones, not palm of the hand. So bad church art, misleading us all. That would have just ripped out. And also, if they put it through your radius and ulna in the bones, and that would have just ripped down the arm and you would have bled to death real quick. And they didn't want that. Okay, so don't go for the crucifixion. More go for the palms of the hands is a reference not to the crucifixion, but to Jesus praying in the gospel in John chapter 16 or 17 with the high priestly prayer, where he says, "See, I have kept all those you have placed in the palm of my hand." So he's referencing this Isaiah bit, which is a nice crossover. And then we jump over to Revelation for the other thing. So what do we do with this? Like I said, I'm going to be shorter today. Part of it is what are we bereft of? What can we not be comforted on? And I think part of it's the coronavirus thing. Part of it's the changing world part of nothing's going right. If you're watching the political stuff, stop it, unless you're a huge nerd like me. That'll drive you to despair. If you're watching the mostly political and not really caring protests and not really aimed at any kind of reform, just being a mob for the sake of being a mob, stop it. That's not helping. You're watching that. It's not going to stop the mob. So, there's that. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we could have a lot of trouble being comforted with. And God says, I can't forget you. And the government or church, the earthly institution of church, can easily forget us. And we try really hard as the church not to, but sometimes it happens because we're humans. Sometimes absence just makes the heart grow clueless, I guess. We try again not to, but it happens. And to the extent that I've been involved in it, I'm sorry. But I know it happens just because we're not able to meet and we've got a million things to do, and that's how that goes. But in the midst of all those things, God says, I'm not going to forget you. And I've placed your name in the palm of my hand, and that's not, again, a crucifixion thing. That's I gave you to Jesus. And so we have this moment here devotionally where we can pray and push all of that back off onto Jesus. So the move today is whatever we are having trouble with on the comforting part or lack of comfort is getting pushed back up onto Jesus. And knowing that God is the one who takes care of us, not the government, not ourselves, not the church, the institutional church, please not the institutional church. And there I'm thinking of synod more, but that's a different story. And we'll get those prayers to Jesus, that he would continue to take care of us, that he would watch over us. So that's going to be it today. I'm going to see if I can get this uploaded for all of you, and God's blessings today, and we'll try again tomorrow.